Hi, this is Ravi Kalyana Raman from Synaptics. I'm here to talk about the poster that we presented at the DVCon, which is titled SoC Verification of Analog IP Verification Through Automated Formal-Based Rule-Driven Spec Generation. So the motivation behind this approach is basically directly related to the limitations we were facing in our SoCs when we had to manually trace through a lot of the connectivity in order to do connectivity verification for this analog, the whole bunch of analog IPs in our SoC. And this was very tedious, as you can tell. It took a lot of man hours, and it was obviously an approach which could have bugs in it because it's a manually driven process. So we wanted to figure out a way to automate this process and try to piggyback on top of a tool which already had knowledge about your database to be able to extract this connectivity spec. So we piggybacked on top of Mentor's Connectivity Explorer as a way to generate a connectivity spec, which is your end goal. So in order to do that, we came up with a bunch of rules for a given analog IP and for points defined within the analog IP, which are your ports. We defined where are all the connectivity traces, where are all the points where the connectivity trace can end in. For example, it can end in the output of a flop, or it can end in the output of a black box, which can be another analog IP itself, or it can end in any combinatorial logic if that's what you desire, or it can end in any hierarchical point that you're interested in. So we had an input specification file which specifies all of this, and finally we generate a spec out of this using this flow that essentially is we feed the input spec to this tool, and then the tool eventually generates out the connectivity spec, which is what we are interested in. This was a very powerful approach that we used to do this, and the results have been great. We've seen a huge payoff in terms of the time it has taken for us to close on this connectivity verification part of our verification cycle. And of course, the time to market is reduced as well. And we've seen almost a 90+% savings in our effort and time. And the quality of the results is much higher because it's not manual anymore. So for more details about this approach, we have a paper which is titled with the same name, actually in the conference proceedings, DVCon conference proceedings, that you can look at and gain more knowledge on how we actually go about doing this.